Rouge! What's up, everybody? I was let outside. Maybe the sound will be better. I don't know. This is our street car. We bought this car like a little over 2 years ago, and a couple of people have been asking about it, so I figured we'd do some videos. We've got some plans for it, and we started getting some of the parts for it already, so why not do some videos on this car? It's a 2004, so it's an AP2. First year of the AP2, but it's still got the cable-driven throttle, which I like. And it's freaking bone stock. I think originally it was owned by some old man in Florida, and I don't know, maybe he died, and then another guy in Georgia bought it, and we bought it off him like a year later. So third owner, but yeah, it's pretty nice. The paint's a little beat up in the front, but otherwise it's a really nice car. It only had 60-something thousand miles. It's got 74 or almost 74 now. And yeah, we're gonna start fixing her up, and it's gonna be kind of a mainly street car, but also a little track action, because I'm sure my race car is gonna break down a lot and I'm gonna wanna go to the track, so we'll take this thing. I've already taken it a couple of times actually, and it does really good for stock, but there's just some things that I would feel more comfortable, especially at Eagles Canyon with all the braking sections. So this is the car, and these are the plans. Okay, so the first upgrade is just going to be getting the car back to how it performed when it was new, or actually a little bit better. So we already got all the spoon suspension bushings and engine mounts, diff mounts, transmission mounts. So we're going to start replacing those right away. If you're not familiar with those are basically made by the same people who make the factory bushings, only they're just a higher durometer. And then the engine mounts are actually fully solid rubber instead of fluid filled like the factory ones. And the reason I like rubber mounts opposed to polyurethane is they dampen vibration better, they last longer, and they won't squeak over time. I've had polyurethane bushings in the past, and they will squeak. So the spoon bushing is a really good upgrade. It's basically going to make the suspension work just as the original one did, but just a little bit better for track performance. When you have a higher durometer bushing, when you load the car, the suspension arms can tweak a little bit, and if those bushings are stiffer, they'll stay more in the position that they're supposed to be in, and the suspension will just perform better. So that's why I went with the spoon stuff. It's a good compromise between street and track. And then the next thing is the spoon clutch. So spoon clutch is very much like the factory clutch. It's made by the same people. It's just got a little bit higher clamping load, and the flywheel's lighter. So it'll rev up a little bit quicker, and it will engage a little bit better. So, but it will still have very good street ability. I had a spoon clutch in my previous car too. That's the first upgrade. I should also mention that I'm going to be using the Öhlins Road and Track coilovers. I had those previously on my other car, and they're really good, you know, dual purpose damper. I mean, maybe in the future I'd like to get something a little bit fancier, but for now, since I have them, I'll use those. And I also got the spoon offset lower ball joints. I like the spoon ones because they're more of an OE type quality. I had the J's before, and they developed play, you know, took a year or so, but I want something that's going to last similar to the OE stuff, so that's why I went with all the spoon stuff. So those are the other suspension upgrades I did. And then the next upgrade I'm going to do after those is to do pole position seats. I already have those. I had those previously, so I'm going to put those in. The factory seats are terrible for track time. They're just so little friction that you slide all over the place. So a good seat can really make a difference in your driving quality, because you'll just stay put and you're not worried about, you know, floating around in the car. So I'll put those in after that. The next upgrade after those will just be brakes. I mean, these are just things that I like to have on the car to make me feel safe. I don't like the factory brakes are decent brakes for what they are, but I don't like the single piston floating caliper, and they're 20 years old, so who knows, they look terrible. So I'm not sure what brakes I will upgrade to yet, but definitely will be upgrading the front, and then maybe the rear. I don't like the dual purpose caliper either for the rear, so but there's not really a good solution if you want to keep the e-brake, so maybe I'll come up with something clever there. I don't know. But so that's the next upgrade, and that's what I really want to have on the car to really feel good about kind of pushing it on the track. Let's start tearing it apart. common one, but there's a little crack in that bushing. Kind of see it? Yeah. Need new ones. My back hurts. Okay, so we got all the control arms and knuckles off of the car. So it's a little bit of a fight to take old suspension shit off. Here's front lower ball joint, the OE one. Still feels good, you know, no play or anything like that. And then this is the spoon one. I think is made by the same people, but it's very high quality unit, and it's a steel unit. And then this is what I ran before, the Jay's Racing one. A lot of people run the Jay's Racing one, but I'm not really a fan. This is aluminum, which is fine, but I only had these on the car for 2, maybe 3 years, and there's already play in there. Can't really, it's not a ton, but it's a decent piece, but they don't last nearly as long as the OE one. But the benefit to these offset ball joints, you can kind of see, so it kicks the ball joint basically out, so you can have more negative camber. So if you're doing track time and you want to get the proper alignment to utilize all the grip out of your tires, you want to be able to, you want to get a set of these so you can get more cambers. Okay, so here's one of the front control arms. Basically, these are the parts we're replacing. These are the rubber bushings. These have to be pressed out, and it's a pain in the butt, so I always just take it to a place that can do it. So most independent shops can do it, but we press these guys out and put in, you know, I don't know, one of these guys, and it'll be a stiffer rubber bushing, basically brand new. These are the engine motor mounts. Again, those are stiffer and non-fluid filled. And then these are the diff mounts, and then this is the transmission mount. It's got a little, it's a factory piece with just a piece welded in with some dimple dies. But so the stiffer engine, diff, and transmission mounts will make the car feel a little bit more positive, a little more responsive. So when you apply throttle, there'll be less flex in the drivetrain basically, and then it'll feel like a more positive, responsive vehicle, basically. Another thing I should mention is a lot of the bolts are pretty crusty. Again, 20-year-old car. I think this car was on the East Coast too, but so I'll replace all these crusty bolts with new OE ones. And another cool thing is, since my car is an '01, my race car, so it '01 has basically the stiffest sway bar that ever came on an S2000. Like, it's the same stiffness as a CR basically. So I'm going to replace this '04 front sway bar with my '01 front sway bar, so it'll get a little bit stiffer sway bar, which adding a stiffer sway bar will basically make the car a little bit more understeery, so which is actually a good thing since we have bigger front tires and stuff like that. So it's a good free mod. I'll prove it. So this is the '04. It is 26.67. Okay, let's do this one. 28.18. So a little bit thicker guy. Okay, so that's it. Everything's removed. Yeah, I'm gonna clean everything up and got a lot of work to do still. I'm gonna take the stuff to get pressed, and that's it. So see you next time.